Hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com. Today I have a really special card to share with you. I'm using this Camellia Japonica stamp set from Altenew. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but this is a really pretty flower. It reminds me of a carnation a little bit, and today I'm going to use it that way because this card is for my mom, whose birthday is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. So I made this card especially for her, and that is what you're going to see today. This also has a matching die that cuts out the flower itself and the leaves. So it's really, really great and super fun to use. Now I have a couple of variations of green here. I have a more minty green and I have a more blue green, which is what I'm going to use for the flowers. I'm going to make two different flowers. One's going to be more of a blue green and one's going to be more of a minty green. Then I also had a bunch of gray oxide inks there as well because I'm going to make the leaves gray. So I thought this would be perfect for my mom because as a St. Patrick's Day birthday baby, she would get green carnations almost every year from my dad for her birthday. Now, she hated it for a while. Like, she didn't want green carnations. She was so tired of green carnations. But then she decided that she actually loved it. So for a few years there, he didn't get her any green carnations, and she realized that she missed it. So he started getting her green carnations again. And then when he passed away, at the end of 2020, I made this card for her birthday in remembrance of my dad and the green carnations he would get her, and she just loved it. So this card, as you can see, I started off with the lightest color. One of them is a more minty green, one of them is a more blue green. This is the second layer here. I'm using the darker shade, which is kind of the mid-tone. For ones that you don't have multiple shades of green or blue-green, you can just double up on the ink. So stamp it 2 or 3 times instead and get a darker color. So that's one thing I love about these Altenew sets is you can really mix and match. This one is Sweet Leaf, as you can see. And so that's kind of my medium color for this one here. But you're going to start to see as I build this flower up, it's going to look so great with all those layers. And I'm always impressed with the layering flowers from Altenew. They do such a great job. Now watch this. I had trouble with this third layer. I couldn't figure out how it goes. The great thing is they have a really wonderful layering guide, which helps you figure out exactly what to do. I guess this is actually the 4th layer. So this is the 4th and final layer. And I realized I just had it turned the wrong way. So once I turned it and got it lined up just right, it was perfect. Now watch this. This is my favorite part of this video. I stamped it with a really dark green, and look at the contrast. It's so pretty. It really makes it pop. On this one, I decided to go with a little bit darker green, but not as much as that blue green because I didn't want them to fight with each other. I'm using both of these flowers on a single card, so I wanted them to look a little bit different and not both so bold. So here we go with this one. I cut them out with the matching die, and look at those flowers. Don't they look beautiful together? It's really great. Different shades of green. Now I have this is one of my favorite embossing folders from Altenew. It's the Mod Squares. I believe that's the name. I'll have it linked below for you if you're interested in checking that out. But there's a side that has more of a raised side to it. That's the side I'm going to ink up. I'm using some Distress Oxide in Peacock feathers because I thought it would really complement those green flowers. And then I ran that through my die cut machine and look at what happens. So you get kind of a bluish diamond, and then you also get multiple embossed layers because this is a 3D embossing folder. It really does give such a great effect. So that's going to be our background. Now I'm going to stamp out those leaves. I'm starting out with weathered wood, and I'll add a few layers of that. I realized that I used some paper here that I couldn't stamp the other side because I had already cut out another flower. It wasn't going to fit even if I raised that up. So I decided to just do one set of leaves, and that just worked out perfectly actually for this card. So here's the second layer. I'm using weathered wood again, and I'm just going to stamp it a couple of times, building up those layers. It's the same color, just going to be a little bit darker for this layer. That turns out really pretty, and there is a third layer on these leaves. I ended up putting it back in the same MISTI that I used to stamp those flowers out. I just turned the leaves a little, and I was able to stamp the leaves while leaving those other flower stamps in because I wanted to make a few more flowers while I was here. So I just like to stamp multiples at a time. It makes for extras that you can use on future cards, or you can make multiple cards. Here's our background, what our layout's going to be, and now I'm going to use this stamp from that Vases stamp set. It says, "Always thinking of you," which I thought was appropriate for this occasion. I'm going to cut that down. I white heat embossed that on black paper as I cut that down, and then I'm going to think about this for a minute. You'll see I end up changing this up in the end. Now, if you know me and my dad, he loved bears, so of course I had to sneak a bear in. On the inside, I'm using this sweet little bear stamp. I don't know that you can purchase this anymore. It's this cute little bear, and it says "Happy Birthday." If I can find it, I will link it, but I've had this for years and years. It may not be available anymore. But I thought that'd be cute for the inside, and I didn't want to smear it, so I'm going to go ahead and clear heat emboss over the top. That's a really great trick for when you want something to set fast and you don't want to smear it. It's a great thing to do on envelopes too, by the way, if you're worried about smearing the ink. Just clear heat emboss that. So that's the inside of our card, and now I'll just go ahead and put the rest of this card together. I'm going to add both of those flowers with some foam tape. So I've already added that lower one, adding the top one, and then I'm going to glue down each of those leaves. And I'm looking at this black sentiment thinking, you know, it's just a little too stark. So I ended up embossing that same sentiment, "Always thinking of you," onto some gray paper. And I white heat embossed that as well. And then I ended up cutting that out and using that. So I thought the gray really went a little bit better with those leaves and with my whole color scheme. So I'll save that black one for a future card. Set that aside. And this is going to be our card. I just glued that on with the liquid adhesive, and then I glued the whole thing to that top folding card base that I've already stamped and embossed that bear on the inside. Always thinking of you. So there we go. There's our card. I love all the embossing with a little touch of ink on the background. I love the sentiment, and the color scheme is really fun for St. Patrick's Day. Now, I'm going to tell you, I already have given this to my mom, and she loved it. In fact, she keeps it on her desk so she can see it. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you real soon with another video. Bye-bye.